Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. XRP hit just over 62 cents today, and it's looking for a breakout, looking to move higher. If it's going to happen, this is the part of the market cycle where it makes sense for that to happen. And frankly, I think that there are going to be a lot of altcoins popping off, but I'm most interested in XRP. It's my largest holding, and I know for many of you that's the case, or if not your largest, one of the more consequential picks that you have in your crypto portfolio. So we're going to keep watching, keep a close eye on this. Now, we have to talk about Bitcoin, though, in broader markets, though, obviously, because we are at this point where there are a couple things that we really need to watch for, specifically where the entire crypto asset class is at the whole as it pertains to key retracement levels. I'm seeing all sorts of analysts share similar ideas on that. But then also, if XRP is going to go and hit a new all-time high, it's my humble opinion that Bitcoin must hit an all-time high first, because it always has in the past. And I think that we have more confidence as a result of what's happened over the last couple days that that's probably going to happen, because all of the things that the bears were saying were virtually impossible to occur, like, well, not all of them, but a lot of them have occurred. So before going further, though, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. At the time I'm recording this video, XRP is 59.3 cents, 24-hour high 62.1 cents. You got Bitcoin at $61,670, 24-hour high of $63,444. And so, really not really surprising at all to see that XRP pulled back a bit after hitting where it hit, as Bitcoin was pulling back just a little bit too. Not surprising in the least here. And really, this is, although it's fun to see that, happy to see XRP break back, to 62 cents. Like, what's happening today specifically is not of the greatest consequence. XRP, yes, looking for a breakout, but it's dependent upon other things that are happening. And that's why it's amazing to see some of the stuff that we've seen here. In fact, chart analyst Matthew Hyland points out, everybody's talking about this now, we just had the February monthly close, and this is a record. Check this out. Bitcoin monthly closes right below highest close ever. This is the third time in Bitcoin history it has closed 6 consecutive green monthly candles, November 2012 through April 2013, and October 2020 through March 2021. Bitcoin will attempt to make history in March by trying to close 7 monthlies in a row. So this is, before the halving, we've not seen this before. And so, not that I buy into the halving situation, I've spoken my piece on that. I don't want to get into it in this video, the whole halving thing. But still, for the analysts that think that matters, anybody that thinks that matters, this is happening at a time that it wasn't supposed to. The market wasn't supposed to be responding like this, right? But what about this? Analyst TXMC notes the following. The time between Dow Jones all-time high breakouts and Bitcoin breakouts averages out to 61 days. Dow Jones broke all-time highs 77 days ago. Interesting, right? So it's not crazy that Bitcoin is specific. I mean, if you look at, again, it's just one more piece to look at. It's not crazy to see that Bitcoin is moving, just lagging behind that particular metric slightly. Then there is also this, and this is one of those metrics where you can look at where it's just like not surprising that we're not seeing these levels yet, because Bitcoin hasn't hit a new all-time high. It's just another thing that you can drop in that bucket. And I've been citing all sorts of stuff along these lines in the recent weeks. But here's a post from chart analyst Credible Crypto, and so you can see a Bitcoin price chart at the top. And he says the days of low funding longs are coming to an end. As we break prior all-time high, you better get comfortable with high funding rates, as they will be the new norm. Higher funding rates for longer periods of time and a higher baseline of funding in general. The last time we broke prior all-time high, we went 3x before negative funding was seen again. And so look at this. Look at the funding rate. I'm circling it right here for those of you looking at the screen. Look what was happening in 2021. And so that would be the first time that we had the major burst, call it what, say April and May, as Bitcoin was hitting what was then its all-time high. And then obviously, it cratered back down. Then we saw the final all-time high a little bit higher than whatever that level was in November of 2021. But look Look at the funding during the first round of mania. Like, we haven't had anything near that. And when did it start, though? When did you see these funding levels start? Well, you saw them start after it hit its all-time high, but before it got up into the 60,000s. So you can see that right here with your own eyeballs. Again, it's just one more thing to look at. We have not seen that. And so put it in the same bucket as all the other things that I've been saying in recent weeks that just seem peculiar. I kept saying, if this really is the high, it's weird. And that's why I've been more bullish than bearish. It's just kind of hard for me to believe that this time is different for all of the reasons we talked about, right? And this is one more. And so he's citing right here, because he firmly believes we're going to be seeing an all-time high in Bitcoin, you are going to be seeing those funding rates. It's what we're talking about here specifically is leverage longs, primarily. That's what you're going to see. And people they always do it. By the time everybody's leveraging long, that's typically the worst time to be doing it, right? This is why there's been a lot of shorts on the way up and they're getting liquidated. And then by the time they flip bullish, leveraging long, they get wrecked then too. It's just like, I just don't get, I mean, like, there's some traders that have success playing with leverage. For the typical person, it's just like the stupidest idea you could possibly have. Like, just my humble opinion, I'm just saying. And then there was also this. Just to be clear, Credible Crypto, he's been talking about this idea of basically a lengthening cycle for literally years on end. And so he shared the following. Now that we're seeing what's happening, just within the last couple hours, he shared the following. Most people don't understand that all that I'm doing right now is the product of the last 5+ years I've spent in these markets, developing my higher time frame cycle thesis, testing it along the way, putting it up against all the other theses out there, learning and absorbing everything I could, all so that when this final fifth wave came years down the road, I would be ready. The positions I'm taking now, the gains I'm making, they didn't come easy. This is a plan 5+ years in the making, all culminating in this final move of the cycle. I've spent endless hours and energy preparing for this very moment. And so the reason I wanted to highlight that is because he has been calling for this, and this, I just want to show you some actual proof right here. I'll make this full screen. This is one of his posts from April 3rd of 2020, right here at the bottom. And he said, we can expect that the high of this next cycle will not be met until after 2022 and most likely sometime after 2023. So that would mean the soonest would be this year we've just started, 2024. He's been calling for this. And so what he saw in 2021 when Bitcoin peaked at about $70,000, he's literally been saying for over 3 years that well, actually 4 years at least, that's not the top. So he's been talking about this thesis forever, because he literally posted that before we saw the mania of 2021. So whether you agree with his thesis or you don't, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, that's fine. I just wanted to note that he's been very consistent for several years just about at this point. And so we'll see what happens. And by the way, I was listening to some of what Blockchain Backer had to say this morning. I'm sure many of you have as well, because I've been very curious to hear his perspective on this. And, he says just a couple things that caught my attention. He says if we hit a particular retracement level for the entire crypto asset class, that's when we can expect the entire crypto market to go completely nuts. And I remember him saying, like, Bitcoiners, if you're lucky, maybe you see 100% to 200% gains if you're lucky. And that's assuming that particular level's hit. But for altcoins, it'd be more like, what, 2,000%? And I thought, yep, Bitcoin is not the place to be. It's the altcoins like XRP, for example. So, if we hit that escape velocity, altcoins absolutely will be where it's at. The missing piece of the puzzle is stock market expansion, which we're not seeing right now despite new highs. So if you look at the Dow Jones, look at the S&P 500, where's the rest of the expansion? Because it's just a handful of large companies that had led us to all the recent highs. And he was pointing that out. And I've been talking about this a fair bit too, like it is peculiar, obviously, right? And that's a very good point. So, the big question is, will we see broader market expansion, in particular with mid caps and small caps in the stock market? Is there historic precedent for large caps to lead the stock market and then everything else catch up? And the answer is yes, actually. We have seen that before. I shared data on that a few weeks ago. You can look at, like, for instance, the Russell 2000 lagging behind by like 10 months. I showed there's an instance where that happened. So it can occur. But blockchain backers' concerns are legit because every single time we've seen the crypto market go nuts, it has been at a time when there's real expansion in the stock market, not led by just a couple companies, right? And oh, by the way, he also noted, during expansion periods in the stock market, you typically see gold decrease in price. And why? Because in times of stock market expansion, that's where the money is thrown. Into those equities, because that's where the expectation is. It's good times. Hey, let's ride this thing, right? And in times where the stock market isn't performing as hot, people may purchase gold as a hedge against tumultuous times, which makes sense, right? So the fact that gold hasn't been decreasing in price is a metric to be aware of also. And he pointed that, which, again, I think these are fair points he brings up. And of course, both of these things can change, but blockchain backer is correct that there is a bit, it's a bit peculiar if we're going to see the crypto market go ballistic. It's not what we've historically seen. It's a bit outside the norm of what we typically expect. And so I've been aware of these things. I've been talking about them too, but I also said, looking at every single other metric outside the chart stuff, I'm not a TA guy. Outside the chart stuff, almost every other metric I consider says, I don't know how this thing could be done because this time is different. I went through the whole thing. I kind of beaten that horse to death, so I won't get into it. But I added one metric in this video, with the Credible Crypto highlighting the funding rates here. Like, where's all the leverage compared to 2021? It isn't here, right? So it just seemed weird to me, I also wanted to highlight this. This is kind of interesting. From Credible Crypto, he writes, Litecoin has been consolidating in a wedge-like structure for nearly 2 years now since I identified its bottom, but I think it's time to start paying attention to it. Both high and low time frames are shaping up. I'm building a position. And look, I'm assuming that most people don't care about Litecoin at this point. I think it's like number 21 in market cap or something like this. I hold it. It's the second crypto I ever purchased. I've been holding it since 2017. Do I care about it? No, I don't. Do I have it? Yes. But I wanted to point out, even Litecoin, which does it offer utility? Is anybody using this thing for anything? Is it going to be here in a decade? 20 years? Like, does anybody care? I just want to point out that Litecoin hit a new all-time high in the first market cycle that I was in 2017 going into 2018. It also hit a new all-time high in 2021. And the reason I wanted to mention that is to note XRP didn't hit a new all-time high last market cycle. And all it does is further instill this confidence I already have in this point that the only reason we didn't see an XRP all-time high last market cycle is because of the SEC attack. That makes a ton of sense. It's the only top 10 coin that didn't. But also to highlight, this asset class moves in tandem. Like, if Litecoin is going to go, you better believe, I'm just saying, like, XRP, it's going to go. So if we hit these levels and the market's ablaze again, which we have seen historically many times, yes, of course XRP is going to go. The fact that it is where it is, not weird. Not weird in the least. There's also this from chart analyst Matthew Hyland. Bitcoin, hold 60K for longer equals bullish. And by the way, he was posting stuff like this before we saw this most recent leg up here over the last couple days. It was actually, I guess, right here for those of you looking at the screen where I'm circling. He's noting, looks like bullish divergence. And wouldn't you know, psh. So we'll see what happens, but he seems optimistic that should this hold, and it looks like it is so far at least, not a guarantee, but get ready for some more fireworks perhaps. There was this, though, from chart analyst Ali Martinez. He wrote, there has been a significant spike in profit-taking by Bitcoin whales. Over the past 3 days, they've sold off more than 80,000 Bitcoin, equating to approximately $4.8 billion. Investors and traders are advised to proceed with caution. Okay, so fair enough. The question here, then, is there going to be enough demand here to outpace the selling of the whales? Because just because whales start selling, you can see them, like I've shown charts before, or you can see over a long period of time, whether it's weeks or over months, whatever it takes. You can see the whales because you can see the wallet sizes, and you can see when they're selling, but the price still keeps going up. So this doesn't for sure mean that we're in the short term going to see a move down, but it's, I mean, sure, it's possible. I don't pretend to know. I've been around long enough to know that the moment this starts happening isn't necessarily an indicator that is indeed the case, that we're going to see a correction. But of course, you're going to have a correction at some point. That's a certainty. It's just kind of a question of when. So I just thought I'd mention it at least. We'll see what happens. But man, what an incredibly exciting time as an XRP holder specifically. And yes, certainly just broadly being in crypto, but I'm way more excited to see what happens with XRP than Bitcoin. That's for damn sure. It's alive, folks. XRP is absolutely alive. I'll talk more about it in separate videos, but again, the fact that the XRP BTC pair looks like garbage, historically, that's a really good sign, however bad or counterintuitive that sounds on the purpose. It's a sign when there's that big of a discrepancy, the market takes notice and XRP just starts moving. Historically, it just has. And you can see there's signs of life today. It jumped up to 62 cents and fine. Bitcoin went down a little bit. XRP went down a little bit after that. Not even a crazy amount. Signs of life, folks. XRP is looking for a breakout. I'm telling you, if Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, like the whole market is going to go ballistic. We are here for it. Like, we are positioned. Like, almost everybody listening to this right now, I know the vast majority of you have been around for years. So you're positioned, I'm willing to bet. And I hope that you did all the positioning that you wanted, because the time for that is mostly past, let's say. I mean, I understand that the prices we have today, they're going to look cheap by the time we're towards the end of the cycle. I get that. But I'm just saying, in terms of if you want to get the most out of the upside potential here, this is pretty much it. Like, in all likelihood, if the analysts that say we're going to hit a new all-time high sooner than later are correct for Bitcoin, and we know alts follow, yes. And altcoins, that's the place to be. That's where the life-changing wealth will come in for most people. It's an exciting time, folks. I hope you guys are having a fun time. You're like, I'll feel better once Bitcoin officially hits a new all-time high, and maybe we'll get lucky, and for the first time it'll happen before the halving. If not, so be it. I'm still optimistic. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.